Welcome back, everybody. Happy Monday. I hope you had a fantastic weekend and are doing all the things that are making your Monday as productive and positive and powerful as possible. My name is Emma G. Author, singer, songwriter, musician, full-time, entrepreneur and empowerment coach for young people using songwriting to lift and elevate the voices of their communities and the individuals themselves. And of course, what better way to talk about how empowering songwriting is than speaking with other songwriters? I know, I'm so clever. Tonight, I am joined on his birthday, guys. Y'all, this is commitment to the cause. All the way from Virginia, we have Dan Barry. How the fuck are you? Happy birthday, man. What's going on?
Nothing much, just having a pretty relaxing day until about 15 minutes ago when I realized that all my audio stuff has been messing up.
It's one of those days, man. Like it's all good. We got it sorted. Everything's fine.
Yeah. And so with all the money I spent on all this stuff, I'm using the built-in microphone and camera. So sweet.
It's okay. It just means that it's been a manic Monday and we'll get it figured out, Technology is there to test us sometimes. So for those who don't know you, besides turning sweet 16 today, who are you? What's your jam? Do you like apples? What's your superpower?
Oh, my superpower.
Yeah.
My superpower is to not be constantly annoyed by the fact that I have no superpowers.
What? You must have one. Come on.
I don't know. I'm insanely, as Keith Center will attest, I'm very good at trivia. That's my superpower.
Keith Center does like his trivia nights, and I am terrible at his trivia, so I'm going to be envious of that superpower.
And I think musically, the biggest thing that I have is when I'm just being an individual as far as stylistically, and a good blend where you can pick out the influences, but it's still the sum of its parts. And when playing with other people, I really even if it's my group, I want them to be free and have as much room as they want to have to express themselves and put their footprint on it.
For sure. Let's backtrack a little bit.
Sure.
Like your group, tell me about your group. Tell me, like, how is it? Who are you in terms of the rock star that we all know Dan Barry to be?
I don't know if I'm a rock star. I love performing. I don't like the studio. There's a good podcast, the first season of Revisionist History, where they talk about two types of workers, and one of those is that they get the song done in 15 minutes and then it's written down, that's where it is and that's how it will stay. And then I think they used Elvis Costello, who has been writing the same song for 25 years and always changing it, and that's me. I grew up with a lot of jam bands and a lot of singer-songwriters like Paul Simon, who the song you heard on the album 30 years ago is extremely different than what you would hear at one of his last concerts. And I know that annoys the drummer that I play with, because he doesn't play with me as often as either of us would like. So the mutations of especially my songs go, each time I play it might be A, B, C, D, and then, there's a version 26.3 down the line. And I have a great amount of trust with him because he only sees me at, the version of it A and the version of it F. He hasn't seen where I've gone with it. So he's always kind of constantly on, thinking on his feet and in terms of where to go with the song. And that's kind of what I'm more like. It's very changing, and the songs that I like this week are different than the songs I liked last week that were influencing me, and while still keeping the foundation. And I mean, I grew up with a lot of Beatles, a lot of Motown, And so those are, I think, the fundamental stuff that I kind of keep going back to.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So I want to talk about your song that we're discussing today, called "Walk Through the Fire." This, obviously the title of this podcast in general is called "The Songs That Changed My Life," and the lyrics behind this song are quite poetic and beautiful, saying things like, she was raised by fairy tales, books upon her knee, and I know we all want to walk through the fire, and I know we all want to sleep through the night, and I know we all want to bear the truth, but tonight the lie's all right. What, tell me about this. Where did you get the inspiration from the song? What motivated these lyrics onto your album?
Well, I guess just the person that it's somewhat about is a friend of mine who was a single mom, and she needed to make it through, and so she was working cleaning crime scenes. And
wow,
yeah, and it's you would meet her and you'd see her, and it's like this a beautiful young woman. The last thing that you would probably think she's doing is going through the stuff that she had to do. And I think also too, having a young daughter and seeing the dreams that she has, and this was written a few years ago, so she was just maybe 3, just getting into Disney movies and stuff, and also trying to curtail at the start of it, those lessons that those fairy tales are teaching you. I think it's in the last Wreck-It Ralph movie where they kind of lay it bare that all those princesses have been basically like emotionally abused and then saved by a man and solved all their problems.
Yay, patriarchy! Woo!
Yeah. I always show her to Moana and Merida, the 2 ones that didn't have boyfriends. And
what was the second one? Sorry.
Brave.
Right.
Yeah, but I become an expert in Disney princesses in the past 7 years. So it was about that, but then it was just about, like today, I don't like my birthday. February in the winter is always really a tough time for me.
Mm-hmm.
And it's, some of it's, that seasonal affectation disorder that people get. A lot of people probably, deal with that as well, and a lot of it is just some external stuff that I internalize, and it's just very hard, and some years are worse than others. This year thankfully has been really good, but some years it's really a battle to get through it. And one of the lies that I would tell myself is that it'll get better tomorrow, or I'll be better tomorrow. And especially when I'm looking, suicide really isn't something I'd order, but it's kind of at the back of the menu for me. And thankfully for a long time, I get thoughts that pop up, and they're crazy thoughts. And I always call them live hand grenades. Somebody throws you a live hand grenade, you don't sit and wonder who threw it, where it came from, what the shape of it is. It a real live hand grenade? No, you just throw it, and then once it explodes and it's out of harm's way, you can examine it all you want. But so I get these crazy thoughts, but I can get rid of them, and thankfully I'm not in a place where it's really a daily thing. But when I have been in those places, just saying, tomorrow you'll be better, so you can get through this. And even if I don't know, there's no promise for that, telling me that, or just that you're doing okay, that everything is okay, can be a lie. And I'm coming up on about 19 years in recovery, so I've seen a lot of people too that are really early in recovery, or not so early in recovery, and something that happens, and people saying, you have to have this to to keep going. You have to have that to keep going. And sometimes it's like, for tonight, just today, just keep hold whatever you need to grab. You know, if you get pushed off a cliff and you're falling, you're not waiting for the perfect branch or the perfect hand to help you. You just need whatever is there.
You got me choked up. Yeah, no, I hear that. I'm curious to dive deeper into this concept. You're talking about the lie of telling yourself that you'll be okay or that you'll be all right. Where's the inspiration behind that? And you know, obviously with the relationship between having depression and suicidal thoughts and being in recovery, and also being sold these lies from, you know, from Disney films and you know, mainstream media, if you will. You know, the cross correlation of those threading through our lives can be certainly unhealthy, and certainly, you know, there are always going to be times when lies rear the head. But I'm wondering, like, what is it that, with this song in particular, you feel, where do you feel the lies exist when it comes to being healthy, or when it comes to holding on, or when it comes to trying to, you know?
I think it's almost like the white lies that you can use as a temporary fix, and it's about just using whatever you can in that moment. As a long-term policy, dishonesty, you know, is not going to be the way to get through and the way to sustain yourself.
For sure.
But in the moment, and if that's what you need to do, you know, and then I think if, you know, if you're a parent and you're in hard times and your kid asks if something's wrong, when you have a 4-year-old or a 5-year-old, you can't delve into the metaphysical and the philosophical and the pragmatic problems that you're facing. You can just say, no, so everything's all right, honey. You know, everything's fine. And, you know, a number of years ago, when I was really depressed, my daughter was young, and just really just having enough to put on that facade for her was like all the energy and the glue and the mortar that I had. So if she would ask me, you know, if something's wrong, you know, I'm not, you're not going to tell your kid, break that news to them and tell them what's going on.
Right.
And I think we do that a lot too, just ordinarily, like, how are you doing? I'm fine. And when I was really active in recovery groups, and I still have a bunch of good friends that, even if I haven't talked to them in years, I can call them up and say, this is where I'm at. This is how I'm feeling. They go, okay, you know, and it's great to have those friends, but if I can't get in touch with them or something, sometimes that's what I need to hold on. Everything's going to be okay, you know, and I'll, so, you know, really that's where it's just this call that I need something to get me through. And if that something is lying to myself for a minute, or lying to myself for a night, or, you know, putting on a brave face to get through this, when inside I'm just, you know, this melting glacier that's cracking. That's what has to happen. And I was thinking about this friend of mine that had it, and, you know, just the fact that It wasn't what her life wanted to be. But I'm sure if her daughter asked her how everything was going, she'd say, everything's fine.
I respect that a lot. Having been through the, I was diagnosed with severe depression at the age of 12, and so I 1000%, can not necessarily relate to your specific situation, but I'm very familiar with the lies that we tell ourselves, and which is one of the reasons why I think it's important to discuss, to really open up that conversation around the coping mechanisms and around how we choose to process and move through the day-to-day existence, because even that in itself can be an achievement. Then being able to translate that into a song that's powerful and that can touch lives and change lives is a whole other process altogether. I'm curious as to how you manage to step back, I guess, and view the situation in a way that allowed you to write the song, or was that something that you did in order to create this, or what was the process behind writing this particular song?
I used to do when I was starting to play out again and start with music again, I was playing at Potbelly sandwich shops a lot, which a lot of the musicians around here have.
I have. They no longer do music, but I was one of the last musicians there.
Like an hour, 2 hours a day, a couple days during the week, and I would use it a lot to just work on songs and workshop things as I was playing. And it started out with that, and then I went into the studio with the producer, and we had one day that we did all the instrumentals, and then the next day was all the vocals, so had to have all of it. So it was very much of me. I work on deadlines, so it was a really, really quick thing to get all the lyrics done. And that's actually a song that I think is funny, because it's out of all the songs that I have recorded for that album, it's the one that sounds the same. And it's the one that, some of them are very barely recognizable at times because I've changed them over the years and fiddled with them. But that one's actually been pretty much, it was a real quick write. And I don't know. I think for me, a lot of it, one of the reasons I haven't gotten much done in quarantine is because while it is extremely difficult to have the kids home, mm-hmm. my daughter home in a way, it's also a really amazing thing. And with whatever it turns out to be, a year and a half, my parents were divorced. My dad was lived in another state, and he was a merchant marine. So he was, even when he lived at home before the divorce, I only saw him half the year. Mm-hmm. And it was before cell phones and the internet. So if he was in the middle of the South China Sea, I'm not getting in touch with him. And I realized at some point during quarantine that I've spent more time with my daughter than my dad's ever been able to spend with me in my life up till now.
Wow.
And so it's not due to, lack of trying from my dad. I've been very lucky there. It's just a real amazing thing. So, but the bad thing about that is when I'm writing, I wish I didn't get as invested in a song, and I wish I could be more whimsical in writing songs at times, and just write things that I'm okay to have thrown away and not be something that I hold closer to my heart, because I could get stuff done. But it's almost like with method acting, one of the reasons I didn't want to go into acting was I didn't want to have to take time away and almost be another person. I mean, when I'm writing and I get into this, it affects my mood. There's a residual period where I'm not comfortable, I'm irritable, and I want to get the work done. And I'm also really, it's really kind of mutated for a little bit by the emotions that it stirs up. And when you have a small child around you, for me, my thought is it's just not fair. It's not fair to have her have to deal with me being an irritated prick because my work is there, you know. So for this past year, I haven't gotten really any writing done. A little bit here and there, but while it might have pushed me back as far as it would be wonderful to have come out of out of quarantine with like 15, 16 new songs, you know, then there's I wouldn't sacrifice the time that I've been able to spend.
Yeah.
With writing things, it's very hard to. I wish I had a definite routine, but a lot of it is just getting into where I feel about things and splashing a rough coat on there and then just trimming it when I'm not as emotional.
I mean, it's a process, right? That's why it's a process. And, you know, it's incredibly brave and vulnerable, which basically mean the same thing in my book, you know, to take that amount of time, especially, and please don't take this the wrong way, but especially as a man, you know, when we live in a society that tells men often not to feel things, to allow yourself that time to actually move into those feelings and into those uncomfortable spaces and get real with yourself, I think is a really beneficial and powerful tool that, you know, that you can't skip over that, right?
Yeah, I think for me, I consider myself very lucky that I was raised by my mom and my stepmom, and there was not much machismo in my growing up. We didn't really, I mean, when you have a house that's 2 women and kids, there's no like men's job, women's job. It's just the shit you have to get done, so you do it.
Right.
And I've always been encouraged to use music or writing, the arts as an outlet. And pre-quarantine, I was working with this great company out of Hyattsville called Just Rock, and they do lessons, but they also were working with Children's National, and a couple other people would do songwriting workshops in their adolescent psych unit.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
that's what I do.
Yeah, and for me,
yeah.
For me, I mean, music, I can say, among a few other things, really saved my life. You know, and it's something that has always been there to act as a release valve for what I'm going through. And I think there were times in my life that if I didn't have it, I would go insane. And it's just been there. And I know that if I'm like just raging inside for one reason or another, or collapsing inside, getting that out is a way to stabilize myself. And you know, so if there's any other kid that can find that, or if you know, hearing me say that this has helped me, they can look forward to finding something else that can help them.
Totally. Thank you. My last question, I guess, before we listen to the song is, you know, was there a particular breakthrough that you experienced or went through as you were writing Walk Through the Fire?
I think it was probably when I was playing it few times live, and people remarked how they thought it was a really helpful song, or just appreciated it. And I'm a really bad self-promoter. I don't I'm not somebody that announces that this is one of my originals and blah blah blah. In my live shows, I blend. I do if I do an hour set, that might feature 3 20-minute kind of winding through different songs.
Right.
So I don't have time to stop and say this is an original song. So that's all. I mean, anytime anybody says they enjoy your work is great, but it's just really good feedback from them. And so that was good. I mean, I remember, and I think we've all have something that at the end of the day helps us get through. And I've also been lucky enough to be part of an audio drama called EOS 10 that's on iTunes, and it has a really big following with LGBTQ, especially younger teenagers, and hearing them when the new season had come out talk about looking forward to it is just like that. The same thing with something that gets you through. Like I remember being completely lost mentally in the mornings and the daytimes in school when I was a kid, and just thinking, if I can, just get home and watch The Simpsons. If I can just get home and listen to some music, and just breathe.
For sure.
Yeah, and so anytime you have something that you create, that you put out to the world, and somebody has that reaction over, I don't know how to articulate that, it's just comforting, warming, and it's just I feel plugged into something beautiful more rather than creating something beautiful, because I feel like one of the things, if you're an artist, you create something and you give it. You're not a shepherd with it.
Mm-hmm.
I put it out there, and then people love it, they hate it, they don't listen to it, they ignore it, they listen to it every day. So their reaction to something beautiful to it, and just to be connected to it is really amazing. And so with this song, hearing people have that type of reaction was really cool. And I think that was one of the breakthroughs for this song.
That's great. Thank you. And without further ado, let's have a listen to the song. This is Walk Through the Fire by Dan Barry.
She was raised by fairy tales, books upon her knee. She said, that's all good for Cinderella, Snow White, but what about me? Read them all from Once Upon a Time to Happily Ever After, reaching for that happy ending, only finding the same sad chapter. And I know we all want to walk through the fire, and I know we all want to sleep through the night, and I know we all want to bear the truth, but tonight a lie's alright. Tonight a lie's alright. Waiting for Prince Charming was just like waiting for Godot. spotlights on the road. Cast a shadow on the past, then we write a new story to be told. And I know we all want to walk through the fire, and I know we all want to sleep through the night, and I know we all want to bear the truth, but tonight the lie's alright. And I know we all want to walk through the fire, and I know we all want to sleep through the night, and I know we all want to bear the truth, but tonight the lie's alright. Tonight the lie's alright. Tonight the lie's alright.
All the feelings. All the feelings. Thank you. Thank you for sharing, and thank you for, I think one of the most powerful things as artists is to use our voices for truth and for, to be able to show up authentically and announce to the world, this is me, warts and all, but allow me the space to love myself, because we all have, those ugly sides or those dark sides or those scary bits that at the end of the day actually make us stronger and can allow us to be stronger together when we recognize those parts of ourselves. I think that's really important, and I really admire you for being able to show up authentically and lead the charge in such a serious manner, like it was such a serious matter or issue rather, that people just don't necessarily know how to navigate, let alone take the time and thought and compassion to do the work.
I think one of the things that people need to realize for themselves and others is that your mental health is personal health and is bodily health. If your leg is broken, you're expected to be able to take some time off to heal. And the thing that's supposed to control ourselves, our mind and our brain, when that needs healing, it should be addressed. And whether it's for your own sake, my own sake, or for the sake of others, the understanding that people need that time in a place where we're so expected to produce and work and push. If you're a boss, understanding somebody's got to take time off, somebody's got to pick up the slack for somebody else who's hurting in some way. So
yeah, for sure. So on that note, how can people get in touch with you?
I'm on Instagram at GuybotSnowflake. I'm going to type that in the chat.
If you put that in the chat actually, I think it'll be on the YouTube channel. I'll put that on the YouTube channel. And
they're at Dan Barry Band on Facebook. If you're in that would be a good one in the DMV area. I'm still playing out a bit with the places that are, complying with the orders and making it safe for people. I'm looking forward to the summer and outdoor as much as possible.
What, you don't like playing in the cold?
I'm not gonna lie, I like playing. I honestly don't care if my hands are freezing. I'm getting paid to play music.
It's a blessing.
Yeah, I'm doing something that there's millions of people around the world wish they could be doing.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna complain. I was at somewhere yesterday where the first time I played it, I was on the third floor. So it was like up a ramp and then up 2 stories. And to get all the gear up there is it's exhausting. So by the time you're set up, I was exhausted. But they're like, oh no, we're not going to have you in there. We're going to have you in another area that's just on the ground floor. And I was like, oh, that's great. But I was also thinking, if you want me to go upstairs, that's fine.
Yeah.
I'm not going to complain. Would I like to make more money and have it easier? Yeah. But I do something I love when I'm working.
Gratitude is such a powerful thing when you know, to make sure that we're constantly feeding into that state of just, gratitude. I think that's really powerful. Hey, thank you, Dan. It's been an absolute pleasure chatting with you, and thank you so much for showing up as your authentic self and sharing these really, you know, powerful messages of allowing yourself to feel and recognizing the power in, even if it is a white lie to yourself, recognizing that it has value and recognizing that, you know, eventually a number of days of holding on can not just positively impact yourself, but also those around you, and your daughter being a prime example. And of course, please feel free to keep in touch with Dan as he continues to write and release and safely perform outdoors and live stream and do all the other amazing things that he's doing. And of course, if you are interested in learning how to channel your thoughts, feelings, and struggles, traumas, grief, all of the things through music, of course, you can always send me a message or head to emmagmusic.com. Until next time, friends, be good, be kind, be safe, be your own kind of superhero, and don't forget to brush your teeth on a daily basis. Dental hygiene